Now, the blacksmith. There are two types of blacksmith in the game. There are the regular blacksmith and the quality blacksmith. The quality ones have the distinction of being able to sell schematics for crafting your own weapons, but will undergo more specialized crafting further in the game. Right now we have to be content with what we can learn from our natural, from getting points in the technological trees themselves. Now, something to mention about the Molotov cocktail is that part of its components can be found in dustbins, which of course make them incredibly cost effective. Same goes for the revolver parts. The only item that you cannot find in waste bins are the revolving chamber that we found in the cave at the crash site. Now, the fine revolver is a direct upgrade on both the flintlock pistol and is an weapon that will keep throughout most of the LP simply because it's a fairly great pistol and we cannot have access to better items without crafting. Pistol, there are two types of firearms. There are pistols and rifles, but due to having strength of 5 we are much more efficient using
What is it?
one-handed firearms than two-handed firearms. With pistol we can, with fine revolver we can now attack 3 times per round with given our dexterity and our speed penalties. The item shop carries items for crafting for many of the disciplines, from pharmaceutical to medicine, chemistry, and if I remember correctly, explosives. Again, until we'll have someone who can craft with those items, these shops are useless, and for a magical character they may find the odd health and magic potion. The importance of doctors for a technologist is that they can remove scars from the characters that suffered them. You can get scars from having a critical failure in combat, and they will lower your beauty or dexterity or another sort of stat, depending where you got injured. Which, although we are a technologist at heart, Getting the war for the middle path will provide with a better weapon for Virtual, while choosing Technologist will give us simply a pistol that is a downgrade from the ones that we are carrying right now. Dr. Roberts will accompany us for just this fight, and it is important to never initiate the combat yourself, because the game is bugged and will consider you as the main aggressors, and thus meaning that the guards will go after you instead of the bank robbers. Just let them take the first hit and go after them. The firing revolver is proven useful already, allowing us to double the amount of times we can hit. I go for the gunslingers first, since every bullet they don't use on me, it's a bullet I can use on them. I'll take the time to strip them naked, take their weapons and even those of the items of the guards they have killed after the combat. As you can see by the speed of my character, I am thoroughly encumbered. Speed penalties not only affect how many times you can attack, it also affects how fast you can run.
What is it that you want of me?
NPCs, when given an item that is a direct upgrade to the ones they are wearing, will automatically equip it. This can be a nightmare if you are given them hexed items that you can no longer carry in your inventory. Always keep your cursed items to yourself, or unidentified ones, for later resale value. Since Virgil is a specialist in melee, he'll get the axe. Molotov cocktails can be made from fuel that is sold by general vendors and pharmacists, and rags which you can find in dumpster bins, again reinforcing how important are dumpster bins for creating most of the deadliest weapons in the game. Right now we'll be approaching the next type of shop in the game, which are the pharmacists or the healers or the herbalists. Call it whatever you like. They sell items specific to they sell healing items for technologists. They sell also recipes for creating technological items that are of healing nature, sometimes fuel, and they also have parts that you can combine into medicine. This quest is, in true Sierra fashion, completely random and out of the is completely random. The item can only be found at the middle of the game, and only if you remember you took the quest. It's mostly a joke. The leaves and the mint will create an item that will restore our fatigue. Our fatigue is directly references how much times we can use, how time we can act in battle. Now comes the time to go for the dungeon, so to speak, of Shrouded Hills. The mine will have standard wolves, spiders, and a large spider, so it's nothing to worry about and something we can take on using melee and a Molotov cocktail. Now, first of all, we create a lantern, which allows us to eliminate the penalty for being in a dark place, be it a cave or at night, if we equip the lantern into the shield slot. Second, there are tons of items for creating for smithing, but since we don't have a blacksmith with us, we will just sell them later. Next, I'd like to address that all of the skills, let it be combat, gambling, combat, social, or thief, or technical, can have 3 levels. One first of that are not directly related to the skill points you place them in. Those are apprentice, expert, and master. You can get NPCs to turn you into one of the 3 categories. Everybody can become an apprentice, given they're only placed 1 skill point. To become a master, you need to have a much larger skill point. To become an expert and to become a master, you need to complete a side quest only after you have maxed that skill. Now, since we are an orc, and orcs by default have already placed 1 point in melee and 1 point in dodge, which makes us eligible later to become an apprentice in both melee and dodge, which increases our chances for critical hits and increases the chances of the enemies of critical failure after we dodge one of their attacks. So critical hits now. If you are an apprentice in melee, you increase the speed of your attack, and the speed means you can attack more per round. Now, Virgil has one of Virgil's new spells is to eliminate poison. Consider this eliminates no matter what level. But the problem is that with being technologies, the chance of the spell backfiring on us increases ever so slightly. To increase your technological aptitude, as I have said before, you need to put skill points into either technological skills or into technological trees while leveling up. The Bessiton boot is what you have given Ristizi in exchange for the information, but since we have tricked him, we can later sell the boot in the museum of one of the major cities in the game for a couple hundred gold coins. I can't remember how much. As all dungeons go, by the logic of the dungeon, it is trapped. Why it is trapped, and seemingly seems it is uninhabited, it's for anyone's guess.
What is it that you...
Virgil, being a magical character, can have a much better use of any potions, potions and tinctures that are magical, since he is more aligned with the mystical rather than the scientifical. On us, it wouldn't have any effect.
What is it that...
In fact, it would have less effect than if it were neutral towards either magic or technology. Now we'll continue through the dungeon as usual, and I must say that this dungeon contains an item called the Vendigroth sprockets, although you don't know it's from Vendigroth yet, that are used on the quest to repair the town's steam engine if you chose to blow it up earlier, since we are a good karma character, and we don't take evil missions, then we won't need to repair it because we don't need to blow it up in the first place.
What in God's... I mean, better luck next time. What is it that... What type... I am finished. What is it... What... I am finished. What is it...
Surprisingly, Virgil's spells didn't backfire on me this time. That's for anyone to guess why. This sort of high-level wolf you can encounter near the crash site. If you have good combat skills, you can take them on pretty early in the game for some more experience. Except for a few very specific items, most loot in the dungeons is randomized. Later on, if we continue exploring the electrical technological tree, and we will get an item that will allow us to find traps. Unfortunately, it consumes electrical batteries, and since we won't be won't be specializing in chemistry, then unfortunately the only way to get them is to buy them or find them in random chests. Now, the reason why I wanted to have Molotov cocktails for this fight is because the large spider's venom is higher than our current HP, so it will be death on sight. Now this will be the result of a non-existent throwing skill that we drop the Molotov cocktails instead of throwing it. And that way we have cleared the mines. We will not be able to solve the mystery of the ghost just yet, but it's on the way. There's the sprocket. I must mention that I'm collecting saltpeter because that is part of the recipe to create bullets. And here we get our apprenticeship in martial arts. As well as finding someone who can tell us where their home actually is. Again, that was a demonstration that junk sellers will buy almost everything. And here in town we have one of the two expert firearms trainers in the game. With this, becoming an expert in an apprentice and then an expert in firearms just means that we get a speed bonus every time we shoot, and we get less of a range penalty, decreased by 2/3, I think. And like that, we have foiled the Besiton Sun's plans. And after taking care of the assassin, it's time to go south to Dernthal, the capital of the feudal Dain Kingdom of Magic. Well, not of magic, but he banished technology, so it makes it of magic by default. We also accuse him of trying to rob a bank by planting the banknote on him, but mainly because notes occupy too much space.
What is it that you... What is it that you wanted? What type? I am finished. What? I am finished. What is... What? I am finished. What is it that you...